Welcome to Naturally Speaking on WDSO. My name is Morgan. I'm with Dunes Learning Center, and we are thrilled to be here today as the new host of Naturally Speaking. Dunes Learning Center is the official outdoor school of Indiana Dunes National Park, and I am thrilled to be here today in the studio with Hahn Sullivan, the Executive Director of Dunes Learning Center. Heather, hello.
Hello. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Wonderful. I know we are honored and excited to be here, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about Dunes Learning Center and how we're involved with the national park, what we do in this region, and as we go on in time, we're going to talk about different topics that can help all Duneland residents better understand the national park we live beside and how to be better stewards of the environment. So it's just very exciting to be here today. And the thing we just said here, that Dunes Learning Center is the official outdoor school of Indiana Dunes National Park. What exactly does that mean?
That's a great question. Yes. So the reason we say we're an outdoor school is because that's who we serve. We serve schools for 9 months of the year, from September through May. Actually, August. School starts early around here. But we're serving schools. Our lessons are aligned with state standards, and our field trips are overnight and under the stars. So schools, particularly here in Duneland, and from across Northwest Indiana, come to our campus, which is inside Indiana Dunes National Park. They spend usually 3 days, 2 nights on campus, learning together, living together, hiking, enjoying family-style meals, and really getting an in-depth experience inside the national park. This isn't just a field trip. This is definitely school. It coordinates so well with school lessons. We work with teachers to make sure that we're meeting their educational goals.
Awesome. Very, very cool. I know I always see a lot of smiles down there, and kids are just telling all the stories. And the specific field trips, I know a lot of people are familiar with that and don't always know it's Dunes Learning Center. What are some of the specific programs that are hosted?
Sure. Well, our flagship program is called Frog in the Bog, and so a lot of people know that one, Frog in the Bog. Frog in the Bog includes a hike through Coles Bog in the national park, which, fun fact, not actually a bog, it's a fen. So we'll dive a fen. It's a different type of wetland.
Oh boy.
So we'll dive into that in a future episode.
Make a note. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, that's just a little tease there. So Frog in the Bog also includes history of the region, so land use and what this area has been used for. So some of our listeners may remember the license plate that said Crossroads of America.
Oh, yeah.
And Indiana really is. This area, not only do we have major highways, major railroads, but even going back in time, this was a major trading route for Native Americans. The first European settlers came through here. Joseph Bailey established a trading post. And so this is something that we teach about, how this land has been used going back in time. So really interesting for the kids to learn. So many of them have, connections to the steel mills. That's something we talk about, how industry, homes, churches, schools have all coexisted over time and continue to coexist now right here in and beside our national park.
So cool. It's just such an interesting way of learning when you're actually inside what you're learning about.
Yes. I mean, so many kids, like it's hands-on. They're immersed in it. It's so different than reading about it in a textbook. And kids love it. Teachers tell us all the time, the level of attention that kids are able to apply to it. Kids who may have a little trouble in the classroom paying attention for long periods of time. When they're outside with us, learning by doing and hands-on and in an immersive experience. Wow, I can't even say that. That is something that, holds kids' attention, and they come out of that experience understanding it on a much deeper level.
It really sinks in. What's so cool, too, I think, is that so many people, when you think of the national park and the education we might be providing, obviously there's environmental education, but that historical aspect, I don't think people always affiliate that necessarily with the national park. So that's really very cool. So the national park and DLC, they are not the same entity. That's correct?
We are not.
Okay.
No. So Dunes Learning Center, we're an independent nonprofit. We are inside the national park. We work under a cooperative agreement, and we are the official outdoor school of the park. So we work with them very closely, but we are an independent nonprofit.
Okay. So not the visitor center, not the state park.
Nope.
Not the nature center.
Nope, not the Douglas Center in Miller. Nope, none of those. We are separate.
So people can't just stop by the Dunes Learning Center.
No. So we're open by appointment. We're to scheduled groups. So our campus is inside the national park, and teachers, school administrators arrange the time for their group to come to our campus. We also do programs in other areas of the park, like West Beach or Miller Woods, where we will meet schools there because we can't accommodate everybody on our campus. So happy to explore other areas of the park and see what that's like, and through our outreach programs.
Very cool. That makes sense too, because schools aren't open to the public for people to walk through, and their school just happens to be outside.
That's right.
So one thing, as we figure out that DLC is not the national park but is a partner, how are they affected? Like if there's shutdowns, sometimes those happen. Does DLC stay open? Can they still have field trips?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yep, we'll still be there. Some of the services from the park may not be available, but we're still there.
Awesome. Okay, field trips will live on no matter what.
That's right.
So Heather, you're the executive director now at DLC, but I understand you've had a bit of a history, a path there. Can you tell me about that path?
Sure. So I actually attended Dunes Learning Center as a student the very first year it was opened. So it opened in fall of 1998.
Okay.
I was there in spring of 99 with my high school environmental science class. And I loved it. I spent the night. I had so much fun. And, it really kind of informed my college choices to study geology and think about what I wanted to do in my career. And, I had that wonderful experience, and then I forgot about it until I came back as an intern. So I came back as an intern after I graduated from college. So I was there in summer of 2004, and then again in summer of 2005. And I had a teaching degree, and I kind of had figured out I didn't really want to be a teacher, but I loved outdoor education. Working with kids on a field trip, the kids were so excited to be there, and that enthusiasm and being able to, for me to teach about the national park that I love so much was so much fun. So that really set me on my path of environmental nonprofits.
Awesome.
And so I worked at a bunch of different nature centers, natural history museums, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Chicago, and then came back to Northwest Indiana and began working at Dunes Learning Center as the Director of Development and Marketing. Then I became COO, and now here I am. So
that's amazing. Yeah, that's a good path. You know the place then.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yep. I sure do.
How has it changed or been the same in the last 27 years?
27, 28.
Years?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because there are definitely things that are very much the same. The campus is still pretty much the same. And, you want to think that nature is eternal. It's not. There are definitely changes to the environment, and seeing, trees that you thought, you see a big tree and you think it's going to live forever, and it doesn't. And those trees are gone. Thinking about what happens in nature, that's something, again, that we'll dive into in future episodes.
Oh boy. Okay.
But Our campus is still very much the same. One thing that is changing right now, the National Park Service is restoring Goodfellow Lodge, which is right near our campus. So Goodfellow Lodge is part of the old Camp Goodfellow. We're located on those grounds. Do you want to hear the story of Camp Goodfellow?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. There we go. So Camp Goodfellow was a summer camp that was owned and operated by U.S. Steel. So it was opened in 1941 and ran as a summer camp until 1976, which good long run, and we have all of these amazing photos. So there was a big lodge, there were tent cabins, there was an arts and crafts hut and the bathhouse. And there's pictures of kids riding the train from Gary to Chesterton and then coming in a big truck to campus. So the whole goal, the point of this camp was to get kids out of Gary in the summertime, give them a chance to explore the wilds of Chesterton, and go to the lake and to enjoy nature. And so we're so proud to carry on that legacy of recreation in the dunes, and learning about the dunes and giving kids a chance to be in that environment together, to have fun, to learn to love their national park.
So cool how the industry and the camp, it all came together as one, the public, private, and it still kind of is.
It still is.
It's just really cool.
Exactly.
And how we're still supported, in some ways by those folks. So it's very, very cool. So tell me, at its infancy, there was a camp, and then that was closed in the 70s, and then in the 90s it came back. How did that park get started?
Yeah, so Camp Goodfellow closed down in 1976. And then the property was sold to the National Park Service. So at that point, the national park was still kind of amassing land and adding sections along the lakeshore. We're really very much a patchwork park. So along the lakeshore, there's national park land, then there's a steel mill, then there's national park land, then there's Indiana Harbor, then there's national park. So they were still kind of collecting tracts of land. And this land didn't immediately have a purpose, but then starting in actually the 1980s, there were conversations about building an environmental education center.
Cool.
So we always say our founders are the superintendent of the park at the time, Dale Enquist, a local environmental activist named Lee Botts, who well known in the Great Lakes circles, and a local college professor. And so the three of them had this idea. It became part of the park's management plan in the 80s, and then finally came to fruition in the late 90s. So we were founded in 1998, and we were modeled after an outdoor school in Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
Cool.
So there's actually 18 outdoor schools across the country located inside national parks.
Like this.
Yeah. So there's us, there's Cuyahoga, but then there's like Yosemite and Acadia, Yellowstone, Olympic. And so all of these wonderful parks all give kids a chance to come into the park, have these learning experiences where they get to explore the park in a deeper way.
So cool. And I know we're one of the newer national parks you just mentioned, like Yellowstone and things that I think we learned from kindergarten on.
Yeah.
What makes our park, the Indiana Dunes National Park, such a unique ecosystem and just interesting in that way? What?
Sure. So Indiana Dunes National Park, we became a park, capital P Park, in 2019. Before that, we were a national lakeshore. And so there's actually, so people say, oh, there's 63 national parks, but that's the capital P parks. There are actually 435 units in the National Park Service. And so that includes national lakeshores, national monuments, national scenic battlefields, all kinds of different designations. So we were a national lakeshore. and still considered a national park by the Park Service, but I kind of say it's like the varsity team versus JV.
Yeah.
We moved up to like now people know our name.
Big leagues.
Yes, exactly. So we're definitely on the like must hit list now for a lot more people, and visitation has really increased since 2019 when the designation changed. But what makes Indiana Dunes so interesting, like I said before, we're a patchwork park. We're also an urban park. So a lot of the big national parks are big, contiguous tracts of land out in the middle of nowhere. Yellowstone, you got to drive there. It takes some time. And Indiana Dunes, you can hop on the train from Chicago, take the South Shore, hop off at Miller, and walk to the beach.
That's pretty special.
That's pretty special. And for city dwellers, especially in the early part of the 20th century, they could come out here, go have a picnic on the beach, ride the train back home, and, be home. So it was
Sounds lovely.
Right. It's a new way to enjoy a national park. And so for us, and especially with all of our industry, like I've mentioned, it's unique. We're also really interesting because of the different ecosystems that we have. So from Lake Michigan, we've got bare sand beaches. Then it moves into foredunes with different grasses, and that helps to stabilize the soil. And then it grows as the soil gets stabilized, the soil composition changes and allows new things to grow. And then we move into oak savannas and eventually eastern deciduous forests. So
wow,
there's a lot of different types of ecosystems. And so because of that, we have a lot of different plants and animals that live here. We're also on a flyway, and so migratory birds come through. So because of that, we're like top 10 in the National Park Service for biodiversity.
Wow.
We have more orchids than the state of state of Hawaii.
That's crazy.
More orchids. I mean, you don't think Indiana Dunes and orchids.
Not at all.
Definitely not. But yeah.
A new state flower.
I don't even know. What is the state flower?
Peony?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We're
ding,
peony.
ding, ding.
Yeah. So the Indiana Dunes is really unique and special in that way. There's a lot of different plants and animals that live here that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
The migratory process, I know there's a lot of cool things. Things are coming through right now in the fall. What's hitting our dunes right now?
Ooh, good question. I'm not a birder, so I'm not super up on the birds. But I will say sandhill cranes are ones that come through this area. I think they're amazing because they make just the coolest noise. I'm not going to try to make the noise.
We'll save it for a future episode.
Yeah, no, sandhill cranes are just the coolest. And they fly in these big groups and circle on their way south. So they go north. And then they're flying south right now as winter approaches. But they have just the coolest sound, which is awesome to hear.
That's neat. Yeah, we should do a sound display on some time.
Yeah.
It's so neat that all the changes that happen in the season, the different animals that come through, the different flowers that are growing in each season. And I know not every single national park gets to experience that, depending on where they are. Right now, we have the leaves are changing, right?
Yeah. So this is your phenology fun fact.
I love a fun fact.
So phenology is basically nature's calendar. So the study of phenology is basically how things change during the year. And
awesome.
So, what's happening out there right now? And this is something that, we're always talking about this with the kids that are in our programs and adults. Adults come to our programs too. And so right now, my phenology fun fact for not a Friday, but for a Thursday, when we're recording, is about the leaves are turning yellow. So,
Right.
And do you know why?
I have no idea. It gets
Okay.
colder. That's what I know.
It's actually about daylight. So
wow.
shorter daylight hours trigger trees to stop producing chlorophyll, which is the green pigment.
Yeah.
So they're not actually turning yellow, they're stopping turning green. The yellow's there all the time, but the green stops being produced, and so then you see the yellow. Before that, like, it was always there, you just couldn't see it.
Without knowing that. That's what
I know.
That's amazing.
And then so it's called a carotenoid, and so then you can see yellow and orange pigments, and then sometimes there's another name. Anthocyanins create the red and purple colors.
Anthocyanins.
Anthocyanins.
Oh, right.
I know. We're learning the big ones
Like
today.
a portmanteau or something.
Yes. Yeah, but so it's not that they're turning yellow, it's the stopping of the green that
Wow.
makes them change. So
That's awesome.
and it's about the length of the day. So
That
I
all
always
makes
thought that was
sense.
cool.
That is super cool. Yeah, so are there opportunities at Dunes Learning Center for the public to come and see these beautiful leaves?
Absolutely. I mean, you can go hiking in the national park anytime.
True. Yes, true.
You know, get your national park pass. You got to make sure you've got your parking pass that you can purchase at the visitor center, other places that sell them. But you can also come to a program with Dunes Learning Center. So we have a community campfire coming up on Friday, October 17th.
Cool.
So that'll be at 6:00 in the evening. We're going to have a campfire, s'mores. We are s'mores professionals.
Yes.
Let me just say. But then we also have a fall foliage photography hike
cool.
coming up in November. So I think it's a great way to for adults, because adults love nature too, and we're happy to get all ages of people outside to explore our Indiana dunes.
Wonderful. And if the listeners want to hear something more or learn something more about Dunes Learning Center, where should they look?
DunesLearningCenter.org. For these events, they're linked right on the front page, or DunesLearningCenter.org/events.
Wonderful. Well, Heather, thank you so much. It's been wonderful speaking with you today, naturally speaking, and I look forward to our next conversation. I'm sure we'll chat again.
All right, sounds good. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.